about a great rabbi who would become a chief rabbi of Colombia. His name was Rabbi David Sharabani, Zeche Tzadik Livracha, one of the great rabbis of his time. He was born, actually, I believe, in Jerusalem on the 16th of August back in the year 1920, and he passed away, I think, on the 6th of August back in the year 1985, actually in Miami. It happened to be, he was a great rabbi, great Iraqi descendant rabbi of his time. He was a Sephardic chief rabbi of Colombia. He would serve as a Sephardic chief rabbi of Colombia from the early 1950s all the way till 1978. And then later on, eventually, he moved to Miami, Florida, in the United States of America. And I believe he passed away. He was about 64 years of age at the time he passed away. The great rabbi was, naturally, he was born in Jerusalem, passed away in Colombia. I think he would be buried, so that's very interesting. Now, he came from great rabbinic auspices. His father's name was Rabbi David Sharabani, who we'll speak about towards the end of the video. And his mother's name was Rabbanit Masuda Sharabani. Really great family in of itself. Now, we're going to see that his predecessor with regards to the job as the head rabbi was Rabbi Miguel Atias, and then he'd be succeeded by Rabbi Yehuda Ben Amu. These were really great rabbis of their time. Okay, so he was born in Jerusalem, at the time mandatory Palestine, and his father, Rabbi Yoshua Sharabani, was a famous Kabbalist in Jerusalem. We've actually spoken about his father. We recorded a video not so long ago, I think last year or 2 years ago in this series. It was one of the earlier people that we did a video on. His mother's name was Rabbanit Masuda. Now, the Sharabani family actually originated from Iraq and has a long line of prominent rabbinic figures. We've actually mentioned about many of them. Now, it's actually reported over that David's parents immigrated to Jerusalem, Ottoman Syria, from Baghdad, Iraq, in 1903. So in 1903, they would immigrate to Jerusalem, Ottoman Syria, from Baghdad, Iraq. Now, Rabbi Sharabani would go on to study at the famous Yeshivat Porat Yosef in Jerusalem, and he would actually receive his rabbinic ordination through the famous Rabbi, the Chazon Ish, a really, really great rabbi of his time. Rabbi Sharabani would then go on to become the first Sephardic rabbi to head the first Sephardic synagogue in Bogota, Colombia, in 1952. Now, it's interesting, in 1952, a famous philanthropist, someone named Obadiah Shayo, visited the Porat Yosef Yeshiva and asked the Sephardic chief rabbi at the time, Rabbi Ben Zion Meir Chai Uziel, who was Rishon LeZion at that time. I think he was between the years 48 to 1953. He asked him to send a rabbi to his congregation in Colombia. Rabbi Ben Zion Meir Chai Uziel recommended him Rabbi David Sharabani, and indeed Rabbi David was appointed the chief rabbi of Colombia, and his seat would be in the city of Bogota, a place I don't think we've spoken about on this series before. Now, in Colombia, he would go on to establish a Talmud Torah, a Torah Academy Center over there. He would start up a branch of the religious Zionist youth organization Bnei Akiva over there also. He would serve as the president of the World Hebrew Alliance there, and was very active in the Zionistic organization, and served as a lecturer at the National University of Colombia in the Hebrew department. Now, after a period, he was offered the rabbinate in the city of Tel Aviv. But Rabbi David would not take up the offer over there. Rabbi Sharabani was connected with many of the great, rabbinic leaders from all over the world, including the famous rabbi from America, Rabbi Moshe Feinstein. Rabbi Sharabani served as a support to the hostages. This was, I think, the hostages that was held during the 1980 Dominican Republic embassy siege in Bogota. This was back in 1980 by M19, the guerrillas, at that stage in time. Now, he'd published various different great Torah colossal works, including a Haggadah, a liturgy for the night of Passover, which contained Hebrew, Spanish, and English language to it. The Haggadah, I believe, was published in the year 1960 and commissioned artwork from the Holocaust survivor and Colombian cartoonist Peter Aldo. It happened to have been. Now, he would be buried eventually, when he passed away in 1985, in Har HaZeitim, in the Mount of Olives, in Jerusalem, the burial plot over there, or the block of the Hasidim for the Sephardic community, respectively. And there was many generations, as we stated before, in this rabbinic, let's say, dynasty of the Sharabani family, coming from Rabbi Yoshua Sharabani, who was a great rabbi of his time. I remember when he would actually go to study in Yeshivat Porat Yosef, the bastion, let's just say, of the Sephardic Yeshivot in Israel. There was a time period when there was a lot of Torah learning and people was beginning to grow. I think it was the time period where Chacham Obadi Yosef, Rabbi Ben Zion, Abba Shaul, and many of the great rabbis would actually be the great Iluyim and the Torah learners over there. And I think it's actually interesting. While before he went to Colombia, he would actually spend a window of time as a rabbi of the neighborhood called Makor Baruch in Jerusalem, a place on this channel we visited on various occasions before. And then I think he would be getting his position afterwards. He was also appointed the rabbi, I think, of the Machanot HaOlim, respectively, at one window of time. Machanot HaOlim, I'm not sure where that is, itself. And you can see it would be interesting. He had very close connection with many of the rabbis worldwide while he was in Colombia. I think they actually say famous Rabbi Reuven Katz wrote very, very highly of him, if I'm not mistaken, how he would work with regards to the congregation with faith and with power and with brilliant words in of itself, and was really, really successful in being mashpia, influencing the public to go through let's just say, the Torah Emet. Now, I think also another great rabbi, Rabbi Cheskia Shabtai, had a connection with him and spoke very highly about him. And we see all different great workings he did in his long period of time in Colombia. And that's very interesting. And he was in connection with all the rabbis all around. Let's speak of it with regards to his father, Rabbi Yoshua Sharabani, a rabbi who's spoken about before on many occasions. I don't think we know when he was actually born, but I believe Rabbi Yoshua Sharabani passed away on the 16th of December in the year 1972. He was not just a Kabbalist, his father was, he was also the rabbi of the Baka neighborhood in Jerusalem. I think that's quite near Talpi Ot. But Rabbi Yoshua Sharabani was actually from Baghdad. And it's interesting, Rabbi David Sharabani's grandparents, which happened to be the parents of Rabbi Yoshua Sharabani, happened to be Rabbi Yitzchak and Rabbanit Aziza Sharabani. Now, his father, Rabbi David's father, Rabbi Yoshua Sharabani, would study among many of the great rabbis, including in Iraq, including the Ben Ish Chai, and he would become the teacher of Rabbi David Chaim, the grandson of Ben Ish Chai. I think in 1903, maybe at some point in time, him and Rabbanit Masuda, his wife, would move to Jerusalem, and he would actually teach in the Yeshivat Shoshanim LeDavid in the Bukharin quarter in Jerusalem. And obviously, I think at that window of time, the Yeshivat Parat itself would be established, and Rabbi Sharabani will begin to learn there and also teach there among many of the great Torah scholars and Kabbalists. His Chavruta was a famous rabbi, Rabbi Salman Eliyahu, who happens to be the father of Rabbi Mordechai Eliyahu, and he would assist in a publication of his book, a great Torah book, I think Kirim Shlomo, if I'm not mistaken. This is another great Torah colossal book, and he would help with in regards to various manuscripts, and he had a brilliant memory, let's just say. He used to fast in the week, I believe, and he would study also Gemara with the Kaf Chaim. Rabbi Yaakov Chaim Sofer. Now, Rabbi Yoshua Sharabani passed away on December the 16th, 1972. I think that was 11th of Tevet. And he was buried in Har Zeitim. He was. And some people say that Rabbi Yoshua Sharabani was at least 100 years old. That's what, according to sources, they say. And I think there's a street in the area. In the area of Ramat Shlomo in Jerusalem, there's a street actually named after him. So this is the father of Rabbi David Sharabani, is Rabbi Yoshua Sharabani. Now, obviously, Rabbi David Sharabani, who we're speaking about today, was Sephardic chief rabbi of Colombia. I think he would have a son also. I think Rabbi David Sharabani would have a brother called Rav Shaul. That naturally is the son of Rabbi Yoshua Sharabani. He would serve as a Dayan alongside with Rabbi Ezra Atiyah in the Sephardic court in Jerusalem. And then there was another. So Rabbi David Sharabani would also have another brother called Rabbi Yosef Sharabani. Sorry about that. Okay, I'll just clarify. Rabbi David Sharabani would have another brother called Rabbi Yosef Sharabani, and I think also Rav Shlomo Sharabani. They would teach in Yeshivat Parat Yosef. Now, also further relatives of Rabbi David Sharabani. These happen to be, let's just say, the grandchildren of Rav Yoshua Sharabani. Happens to be Rabbi Yehuda Moalem, another great rabbi, Rabbi Udi Sharabani, Rabbi Reuven Sharabani, Hadassah Masuda, who married Rabbi Ben Zion Abashol, one of the great Persian rabbis in Jewish history, and Clara, who married Rabbi Shabtai Atan, another rabbi we've spoken about on various occasions before. So you see, this was very much a great rabbinic dynasty. The Sharabani family was. Please learn more about them. They're friends with the community here. We're learning about the great famous rabbis of yesteryear. Now, if you descend any of the great rabbis we are speaking about, please send me an email. I would love to hear more information. If you haven't subscribed yet to the channel, please subscribe now. We are nearing a staggering, at the moment, 7,000 subscribers, which is a phenomenal achievement. If you feel anyone is interested in watching these videos, share these videos also to other people. I really appreciate it. Wish you all a fantastic day. Take care, and thanks for watching. Here, just from recording this from the city of Bet Shemesh.